distance in the lights, vibration of a thunder.
Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and this is the My Sober Addiction podcast. And, of course, we are happy, healthy, wealthy, and free. And, loved ones, if you listen to my bonus episode that I just put out, God bless you. You know, I did listen to it, and I thought, okay, that's better than I thought it was going to be anyway. I mean, it was definitely from the heart. And I hope that came through. If you didn't listen to it, I'm going to recommend you do, as long as you're familiar with some of my other stuff. I wouldn't want that to be someone's first experience with my sober addiction. Then again, things surprise you. You never know. Somebody might say, Matt, that's your best episode ever. And I'm like, yeah, well, it maybe only because it was very, very from the heart, very authentic, and very in the moment. And as I said in it, I had been working on the memoir, and I had to read a few chapters. It hit me hard. It was so heavy, and it was just weighed on me. I was having to relive some of those old things from back during active addiction. Some of that super heavy, just crushing feelings of loneliness and despair and hopelessness, and just that dread feeling, the feelings of dread. Yeah, that was probably the worst thing about going through withdrawals. Just that feeling of dread. It was just, God. And you know, I had a little moment the other day where I kind of relived that. It really made me grateful. That's for certain. It really made me think, geez, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. But I did get inspired, and I thought, yeah, I need to go get this down. I need to get this on. What I'll also do is, like, I'll have a rant come up. I mean, obviously, I'm a talker. Hello. The joke is that I came out the womb talking. So I can be driving to work or driving somewhere, and I'll get inspired to do a rant. Well, for the longest time, I would think, okay, I'm going to remember this. Man, that was great. How could I forget that? Well, and then I won't remember it. And then it's lost. So what I started doing, when that inspiration would hit, I would get my phone out and go to my voice memo and record there. And then if I did have some inspirational flash of brilliance hit me, well, then I've got it. It's recorded. And I can then go back and pull that out and put it into an outline for a podcast or maybe a YouTube video or whatever the case may be. Point is, I finally got to the point where I was starting to record those little car rants. In fact, now that I think about it, I probably need to go through my voice memos on my phone and see if I do have any little flashes of brilliance. Not that I have flashes of brilliance every day, but I mean, we all do. That's why it's important to be aware of our thoughts and be aware of things that are going on in our minds, because you and everybody has flashes of brilliance that just kind of come through. They just do. Sometimes we might think, wow, where did that come from? That doesn't even sound like me. Well, it may not be. I mean, well, it is you, but it could be a inspired message from your higher self or your higher power. It could be some inspired message from beyond. No, I'm not going to get completely woo-woo. I know. I try to reserve the woo-woo content for the YouTube channel. Speaking of, dear loved one, I did a recent video where I talked about placebo effect. And in the video, I was making a case for the mental universe, meaning the universe is a mental construct. It was a case for that, or a case against material universe, meaning the theory of relativity, where everything is in a straight line. Everything started with the Big Bang. And then things started expanding and evolving, and then all of that. But that line of thinking also believes that the brain is the source of consciousness, meaning we don't exist outside of this. It's just all one big cosmic accident. But you see, the point I was making in the video, well, for one, I'm arguing against that thinking. But the examples that I used was, for example, placebo effect. Placebo effect is fascinating. Placebo effect could not happen in a strictly material universe, because in a strictly material universe, it either is or it isn't. It's strictly black and white. It either does this or it does not do that. There's no power of the mind, because there is no mind. It's just in the brain. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that would argue with me and be like, no, Matt, you can, with your brain, get control of, okay, fine. I'm not going to go there. My point is, from the way I see things in a material universe, the placebo effect cannot happen. I was reading a book called The Holographic Universe, and in it, he talks about placebo effect. And he gave a story about a man who had, I believe it was stage 4 cancer, and his doctor started him on a new treatment. It was a very promising new treatment. So this guy was convinced this is going to work. So he took the treatment, took the meds, and his cancer went in remission. That's fantastic news. But he then read an article saying how this new medicine does not work. It's completely ineffective, does not work. Well, upon reading that, his cancer came back. So he goes back into the doctor and tells the doctor, hey, you know what? And they're like, yeah, well, we got to start doing something. And the doctor, knowing, well, this medicine was never effective, but yet it still, somehow he went into remission when he was taking it. The doctor knew it was placebo effect. Knowing that this medicine does not work, somehow or other, he still went in remission when he was taking this medicine. Nocebo effect is actually a thing. Nocebo effect, when he found out that it was placebo effect that healed him, the patient, the cancer came back. So the doctor's like, well, look, I know what you read and that's not good, but here, look, I'm going to give you this other treatment. This one definitely, this one works. Or maybe he convinced, I can't remember how the story goes exactly, but point is, doctor convinced the patient, again, take this treatment, take this medicine, and it's going to work. So the patient was again convinced. Starts taking the meds, cancer goes into remission. Yet again, still, this medicine is ineffective. But now twice, he has sent it into remission by taking this medicine, which is ineffective, which tells you that it was his mind. His mind was convinced that he was going to be healed. So he was. By the way, he ended up reading another article talking about how ineffective it was. Cancer came back again, and he did not make it that time. But the moral of the story is, 2 times he took a medicine that was proven to be ineffective and sent his cancer into a remission. And also, both times, when he found out that that medicine was not effective, his cancer came back again. His mind caused that to happen backward and forward both times. That's amazing. I mean, I'm sorry that the guy didn't make it, but the moral of the story is placebo effect is very real. Placebo effect is your mind healing you. It's your mind causing vibrations in your body that are resonant and cause bad things to stop being bad and make good things be good. It's really that simple, but it's also very complicated. But that was my point in that video, was that the placebo effect is a perfect example of how the universe is a mental construct. But now, for the purpose of this podcast, placebo effect is a perfect example of how powerful The mind is. And also, dear loved one, overcoming addiction is also another example of how very powerful the mind is. If you're like me, you're a heroin addict, opioids, however you want to say it, because I know that now it's not really heroin out there anymore. It's fentanyl, which that's even worse, which it's like, how can something be worse than heroin? Well, I guess it is. Anyway, we're not going to get into that because it doesn't matter. But to overcome something like that, you know, as well as I do, that overcoming an addiction is an amazing feat. Because if it's mental addiction, if it's physical addiction, if it's all of the above, if we began by taking it to cope with something that was going on in our life, that puts you in a position where whatever it is that you were coping with is still there because you were just sticking a Band-Aid on it with the addiction. So now that you have stopped sticking a Band-Aid on it, it's still there and it still has to heal. And oh, by the way, now you've slapped an addiction on top of that you also have to overcome. So it's no small feat to overcome an addiction. That, again, just like the placebo effect, is an amazing example of how so very powerful the mind is. Let that be an example to you, and also so that you can show other people, look, this is how bad it can be. But as bad as that is, we are still strong enough to overcome that. And isn't that an amazing thing? Isn't it? The fact that we can do it. Because there was a time when we felt like there's no way. Like what I said in the bonus episode. I was talking about how I was we're kind of rehashing those old feelings and reliving that stuff. And I felt those feelings of despair again. I felt those feelings of just dread again. And I remembered the physical withdrawal symptoms. This is something I don't say much, but like there were times when I was staring down the barrel of withdrawal. Maybe I was at rock bottom, didn't have any money, didn't have any way of getting dope, whatever the case may be. But I was looking right in the face the prospect of going through it. Just the thought of having to do that was enough to make you want to just say, screw it. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth all of that. It's terrifying. A lot of people, myself included, probably stayed on drugs longer than we ever wanted to. Not because we were having so much fun, but because we were scared to death of withdrawal. Scared to death to withdraw off of heroin. Oh, geez. Those withdrawal symptoms are so bad. And then, like I mentioned, fentanyl. And I know that fentanyl is even worse. And I can't imagine coming off of something that's even worse. I know that also in that episode, I said that the only two drugs that can directly kill you from withdrawals are alcohol and Xanax. Because you can go into a seizure with those, and that could kill you. And that would be as a direct result of the withdrawal. But opioid withdrawal, while it can't necessarily directly kill you, it can cause something that will. What I mean by that is there have been cases where people were in opioid withdrawal and their blood pressure got so high that they had a stroke or an aneurysm or something like that. In fact, I was in a detox facility one time, one of those 4 or 5 day detox facilities. And one night, maybe the third night, I don't remember, second, third night, whatever. The nurses came rushing into my room at like 2 a.m. and say, we got to get you to the hospital. Now, this detox facility was attached to a hospital, so it was literally in the same building. It was on a different wing, but still. So they got me over to the ER to get my blood pressure down. It was some astronomical number, like 250 over 150. I don't remember what it was exactly. It was really crazy high. And then they said, well, that's one thing that your blood pressure is so high, but the thing that's really kind of freaking us out the most is that your pulse rate is so low. It was like 30 or 40 beats per minute. So like my blood pressure was sky high, but my pulse rate was that low. And they were like, that doesn't even make sense. We can't figure this out. That's just it. We got to get you out of here. So while opioid withdrawal can't necessarily directly kill you, it certainly can. And that's why it's so important to get help. Besides the fact that we just can't do it alone. Once we've gotten to that point, if we really do believe that we can beat this thing on our own, if we really do believe that it's like, yeah, I'm going to buy some, certain amount, and I'm going to ration it out, and I'm going to taper down. Okay. How many people have tried that? Most people have tried. Most people have concocted this big grand scheme about how they're going to taper off of dope. I'm going to start doing less and less each day. And at some point I'm going to quit. It's like, no, you're not. No, it's not going to work that way. Because once we've gotten to that point, we must have help. For one reason, we just need help to do it. And another reason is we need to be monitored. You need to be monitored. Don't try to do that alone, because your blood pressure could spike like that. Anything could happen. You need to be in a setting where there are people looking after you. There are people who care and are there for the purpose of helping you get through this. Getting back to my point, we can go out and be examples to the entire world, not just to other addicts, to the entire world, what a person can do once they've decided to do it. We can go out and be examples to the world of how powerful our minds are once we have made the decision, I'm doing this. Yes, I need help, but I'm doing it. I'm going to get my life back. I'm going to mend my relationships. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to pay off all my debts. I'm going to file my damn taxes, right? I'm going to get a job. I'm going to start spending time with my family. All of these things. I'm going to be healthy. Once we decide, make that decision, there are people out there that are there to help. Once we get to that point, once we get over that, we can then be a shining example, not just to other addicts as to how good life can be, and quickly. That's something that really still blows my mind, is how fast things get good again. Once we get through it and we come out on the other side and we're rebuilding our relationships, rebuilding our credit, just all of those things, getting our bodies healthy again, get our minds healthy again, getting our souls healthy again. Once we do those things, it takes off quickly. Remember, earlier in the podcast, the early episodes, I used to talk about riding that wave of momentum, because just by virtue of getting sober in the first place is a huge amount of momentum. When someone's building a business or someone's starting a thing, anything, the thing that you want to do first thing is get momentum, get ahead of steam, get things moving. If it's a business, start getting the business rolling. Get some income coming in. Get some business going. Get some clientele, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Get that thing moving. And activity breeds more activity. So that's how that momentum builds. By virtue of getting sober at all, just by stopping, getting sober, getting healthy, the trajectory of your life is taking off like a freaking rocket. Just blast off. And that is a tremendous amount of instant momentum. So we can get so much done so fast. Just within 1 year or two, maybe, you can look back and be like, okay, this is my clean date. This is the date I got sober. And here I am now. Geez, look how far I've come. Right? I mean, if you really stop and look back on your clean time and look back on how far down you were and where you are now, isn't it amazing? It should blow your mind how far you've come and how fast. Now, translate that to other people who have seen your whole thing happen. Your family, maybe they watched it from afar. They had to distance themselves, show you some tough love, maybe stop enabling you. Okay, all of those things. But they know how far down the spiral you were. Maybe not exactly, but they know how far you were. And they see where you are now. I would venture to guess you've got people around you who are absolutely amazed at the progress you've made. They may or may not have told you. And if they have told you, you've probably just brushed it off. My mom tells me from time to time how proud of me she is. She's like, I'm so proud of you. You just really overcame so much. Because she saw how low I was. She knows how far just in the dirt I was. It was so bad. And within a year or two, I was doing very, very well. And I continue to do even better. And I'm not Superman. I'm just another guy just like you. But I realized that my sobriety, my getting clean from addiction and beginning to live sober was a rocket, blasting off as far as momentum for your life is concerned. So we, dear loved one, we are shining examples, not just for other addicts, but for the whole world, what a person can achieve when they make their mind up, when they've decided this is what I'm going to do. Remember, loved ones, we don't try anything. We just do it. We don't try to do something. We do it. It's like, I'm not going to try to get sober. I'm going to get sober. I'm not going to try to do this. I'm going to do this. So be an inspiration. And like I said in another episode, your own story is inspirational. You don't have to look out there for inspiration. I mean, sure, go for it if you want, but never forget your own story. Your story is inspirational. If you read your story, not realizing it was your own, but if you read someone's story, but it was yours, it would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? You'd be like, wow, this guy's really been through it. It's overcome so much. So anyway, loved ones, if you have not yet followed me on X, I would really appreciate it if you would do that, because all of the podcasts and all of the YouTube videos and then all the blog posts, everything gets posted to X. It's a one-stop shop for all the things that I do. Now, I have not been blogging much, as I said, because I've been focusing on the memoir. Anytime I do any writing, I really kind of direct it towards the memoir. Also, the YouTube channel, if you do want to hear me rant about some of my more woo-woo stuff where I talk about simulation theory and your higher self and things like that, there is a YouTube channel. It's also Matt Stevens MSA. Pretty much everything I do is under Matt Stevens MSA for my sober addiction. So there's that. Also, if you would give me a review wherever you get your podcast, that would be fantastic. And don't forget, thanks to my good friend Clive, we do have the mysoberaddiction.com website now. Finally, after all this time, finally have a mysoberaddiction.com. So there's that. You can check that out. It's pretty cool. It's pretty basic right now, but we're working on it. Like I said before, I would like to put some kind of message board, or I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that yet. I would like to have put away for if somebody has any events or or announcements or anything like that where we can post each other's successes, or like I said, or if you've got an event coming up in wherever, things like that. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, but we're going to look into it. I may have to do a separate chat thing, such as like on a locals.com type thing, but we'll get into that more in a little later. I'm exploring those options. So anyway, loved ones, if you have an idea for me, you can always go to the Chat with Matt feature in the description of any podcast episode. Just remember, I do not have a means of contacting you back through that. It's not exactly a chat feature, but it still works. But if you just want to send me a message and say, hey, expand more on this, or maybe you should do that, or whatever, it's just a suggestion. You don't necessarily need me to get back with you. That's fine. Just put your suggestion in there, or if you've got some encouragement or whatever you want to do. But if you do need me to get back in touch with you, still go ahead and use that Chat with Matt feature. But be sure to include an email address or some way for me to get back in contact with you. Anyway, loved ones, I know Clive is going to be guesting on the podcast in the very near future. I'm hoping for the episode after this one, but I haven't gotten that for sure yet. We'll know very soon, won't we? But, dear loved one, that's what I got. I do love you, and I will be back directly.
There is a distance in the light.